Hello and welcome everybody back to the Crimson Market. So right now I'm just going to have a quick chat to you about what we're doing. So today we're going to be working on the Illusionist PC. So I'm going to start today with what we see in front of us with setting up the motherboard. So that'll be with motherboard, RAM, CPU, our M.2 and our CPU cooler bracket, which will go on the back of the motherboard. All right, so let's just jump straight into this and start. All right, so M.2 will be quick and easy, toolless, just come straight off, as I showed in the unboxing video. Our M.2, so we've gone with our Crucial P3 Plus. So it's a 4.0 NVMe with a read-write speed of, what was it? It was 4,800 megabits per second. Yeah, so we've used the P3 Plus before in multiple other videos. It just come out always to be a really nice device. Works well, never had an issue, and for cost-effective wise, you kind of can't go wrong, when it comes to this one. All right, so first things first, I need to get the paste. Oh, it's not a paste. So it's a thermal pad with a protective cover on it that is almost impossible to get off with gloves. There we go. All right, so that feeds in. Turn this a little bit better. Slides in there. Push it down. Click. Done. In. Same as this side. It's got another thermal pad. Just gonna take that off. Make sure I get it in the right way. And done. On. Just in case you can't see it there, this grill is actually shaped so at the front here it spells TUF. That's what the fins are shaped as, so it says tougher even in the fins. I think that is awesome. All right, let's just jump straight in. We'll put this one on the back side real quickly. This was the backplate for our CPU cooler. Now, I'm just going to use a screwdriver to pick up that tab. There's one. 2. Pick up the motherboard. And done. And that's double-sided tape that I just took off. Easy peasy. All right, CPU next. Yeah, do them. There we go. CPU slides out of there. Obviously in there's got the stock cooler. Alright, now where's the triangle on this motherboard? I couldn't see it last time either. Just frustrating because I then had to just line up by the pattern. That takes so much longer. Oh, there's the triangle. Jesus. Get our CPU out of there. Lift this one up. Put her in. Triangle to triangle. Well, that cracked off really easily. Done. All right, so we're gonna do the RAM. 1, 2, 3, 4. As you know, we're gonna be using the T-Force Delta RGB. It's the DDR5 version. So we're going with 64 gigabytes of 6000 megahertz, which is CL38. Ugh. I never make this plastic easy. Or maybe it's just I can't work with these gloves properly. Just can't grip it. There we go. Oh look, pretty little T4 sticker. I'll include that into the bag of whoever wins. Line it up, wrong. Line it up, yep. There's one. Let's give it to him. It's in there very well, the packaging. Next one. That's two. Let's crack this one open. And of course, it doesn't just want to open. That's all right, we'll tear that to pieces. Stupid packaging. All right, let's get this one off again. This one was I had a little bit of difficulty with last time, but that one went off a little easier. Again with a little sticker again. All right, stick number 3. Sure it's all lined up before pushing down. You don't want to hear a crunch and find out it's not the RAM. Not that that's happened, but hey, I'm sure it's happened to somebody, right? All right, motherboard is prepped and ready to install. But before we jump into the motherboard before we jump into installing the motherboard, we're going to switch it over and I'm going to jump up to probably to the power supply, and I'll get all the cables that I'm going to need for that. So let's do that. All right, power supply time. So we're going to pull this one out of the box. Choop. Grab out my cables, get the box out of the way. As everyone knows from me, I mean, throw it on the floor. All right, love the bags Thermaltake sends. I got the ROG, can't remember which one, something 850. My personal, it comes with that little bag. It's just made keeping the cables so convenient. All right, so this motherboard is going to need an 8-pin. There's one. Now, if I remember correctly, it's actually 2 8-pins, which that should be the second 8-pin CPU cable. Then I'm going to obviously need a big fat 24-pin, which for some reason, there she is, 24-pin. And for the graphics card, now if I remember correctly, this one needs not one of those 600 watt cables. It needs these PCI Express cables, which is an 8-pin PCI Express, but I believe we needed, well, first things, we need to not launch things. Doesn't really matter, it's just a mole exchanger that I won't bother using. And there's the other PCI Express cable, because we're going to need 2 of them for this GPU. All right, now I'm not 100% if we were going to need it on a hub, but there is a chance we're going to need to run a fan hub for this, which if that's the case, I believe, where's the basic SATA power on? Oh, there. It'll be this one. That's right. Oh, it's not SATA power, it's Molex power off of 6-pin power. So I'll sit that one in a slot off on its own, so I know how to get to it really easily. Chuck the rest of these cables in the bag so that whoever wins the Illusionator has the chance to get all of their cables. All right, pull this power supply out. Start plugging these in. All right, so this one, CPU. It should just be 8-pin there. There's one. That's the PCI Express 2. That's the second CPU cable. Of course, only fit in the one way. There's that. 24-pin. Same deal, I don't believe it fits this way. No, it does not. So what we need to do is we flip it, and it's these two here. So this one goes, oh my gosh, there's the 24-pin there. And that there. And that gives us our 24-pin. Then we need to get our two well, they're just PCI Express cables, but they will fit there. And there. That preps that and gets it ready for installation. So we're gonna have to get that installed into the case. So let's get this out of the way and we'll bring the case in. All right, next step will be to get this case prepped, which first things first, I'm gonna start pulling panels off. Let's start with the top. As I said, it's all toolless in the unboxing. First panel off, easy, out of the way. Second panel, same deal, just push down, done. Second panel off. All right, now I'm gonna turn it around. I'm gonna get this one off, same deal, and it's off. All right. Just want to sit this panel out of the way in a nice safe spot. There we go. Done and in a safe spot. So the next step will be to pull this case around and take this panel off. Same deal, just pop straight off. Easy peasy, out of the way, done, ready to get out of the way. All right, I'll set that one in a safe spot. Now that we got the case all pulled apart, every panel off, everything ready to start, I actually want to start by, first of all, I want to make sure it's visible. So down here, it's got a fan mount, right? Now this one actually comes with the 140 mil fan mount pre-installed. However, we're going with 120 mils, which means this strip here, across here at the bottom, just above that, needs to come off and replace it with this one, which is their 120 mil that way. So I'm going to do that right now. All right, easy peasy. It's 1, 2, 3, and 4 screws. I got my little jars to put my screws in so that they're looked after. Nothing's ever going to have to worry about going missing. And if there's anything that I don't use on this case because it's spare or anything like that, it'll get shipped to whoever the winner is. Which I'm just going to point out one more, well, first time I think this video. The crimsonmarket.com is how you sign up for your chance to win this PC. All right, now that one comes out. Now it actually comes with the 4 fresh screws to install, which I'll bring up, show the camera. Ooh, screws, boring. Now I'm not gonna bother pulling those ones out. I'm just gonna reuse the 4 that are already out. But just so you know, it just then sits on there. And then we just put those 4 back in. All right, so I'm gonna just do that quickly. All right, so now that we got the bracket installed, we're ready to go with the next step, which personally I think would be getting the power supply in. Now that is an easy one, right in here. Just gonna block the camera for a sec while I get the power supply itself. And it sits in right there. Easy peasy. All right, so I'm going to turn this around. You can see the mounting screws, just like I can, and I was right, exactly like that. Done. All right, I just got to grab the screws, which the screws for that box should be in its box, but it's not. So, give me a sec, I'll grab them. Here's the screws, guys. Antique case screws come in their own little fandangle case, which has a whole mass amount of screws there, and there's a small chance they're the screws, but I very much doubt it. It's usually those ones that are there. So let's chuck them in their little container for the rubbish. And hey, look at that, I actually put it in the bin. Who knows, I actually know how to do that. Oh, wait, this also has the fan mount, the motherboard mounts, but they're already pre-installed. They just installed, sent spare ones. It should be this one here. And there should be 1, 2, 3, yeah, I see 4 of them, I think. And there's one. All right, I'll set that one off to the side out of the way so we're not making mistakes. Power supply in, everyone, woohoo. Now I think it's time to get the motherboard in. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to feed through these cables roughly where they're going to need to go after. Right now I'm just going to run them there so I'm not crushing any. So I can lay that down. Easy peasy. Now, I hope that's a good angle for everyone, because I'm sort of trying to move this around as much as possible, make it as easy as possible for everyone to see. And that's why it's cameras moving around and stuff. So I'm going to get the motherboard ready and we'll get that installed. All right, motherboard. First things first, I'm going to peel plastics off the back piece. And then I'm going to get this in. That's a pre-installed, yep. Most are these days, but you've got to double check. Perfect. All right, so with this motherboard, you actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 screws. Excuse that, guys. All right, so I'm gonna get those screws installed. All right, motherboard is screwed in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 screws are in. All right, so the next step, and it's probably not something I have to actually do yet, but I'm gonna need to remove 1, 2, and maybe a third for the GPU. Actually, you know what, I'll wait, because I don't want to remove any more than I have to. We're actually gonna move on to getting the AIO mounted, which means getting it prepped and ready. So let's get the all-in-one CPU cooler up here and ready to start. All right, CPU cooler. Let's open her up. I already stuck on the back plate to the motherboard, as we all saw, so I don't need to worry about that. Obviously with this one, as I said, with an A13, I do need to I need to put thermal paste on the CPU board. All right, now one of these, that's the bag that I was looking for. That can go in there. I've actually got some thermal paste already placed out. So once again, let's throw another thing on the floor. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'll set that one off to the side. All right, so that gives us, yeah, that's all the screws. And the fans are already mounted. And this time they're actually mounted where I want them to be, so I don't have to remove them. Very, very convenient. Because obviously having to undo them to put onto the other side takes precious time. So if everyone remembers, fans all daisy chain on themselves. Already comes pre-cable managed for that reason. Daisy chain's really pretty simple for that sometimes. So we'll take this one off. All right, fan header, pump header and ARGB. Then on the other side, same deal, will be ARGB, which it actually comes with the piece here in case you want a daisy chain. Don't need to. And that's a fan header. One's a pump header, one's a fan header. Both, you can use fan headers for pumps, as everyone knows. Now this one's gonna go in like that. This is gonna be the way we're gonna insert that. So let's do that. Let's get the motherboard up here. We'll get the thermal paste ready to install. All right, now we've got the motherboard up on the table and we're ready to install some thermal paste. Now, I actually probably should have actually pre-cut this off camera just to make it a little easier, because now I've got to cut the plastic and open the actual thermal paste itself, because daft me hadn't done that yet. But that's all right, doesn't take long. So you know we're using some nice fresh stuff. It's very cold at the moment, so the thermal paste is quite rough. All right, and I'm gonna do my standard cross pattern with a dot there. Clean that tiny bit off. There we go. Nice and easy peasy. All right, so we've got the thermal paste on. We'll get the cooler up and we'll get it installed. All right, so at the moment I've just set the AIO here and I've placed the water block out of the way. So I need to lift this up, line it up to the screw holes and screw this in. Now for this one, they recommend that you do at least 6. I'll probably end up doing 8 altogether, although you can go up to 12. So I'm gonna just show you quickly how that works. So just gonna lift that up, line up the screws, and install that all the way across. And do it about where I want it to be, which will be a little bit off the right at the end, just to be a little neater. All right, so I'll get that installed and then I'll show you. All right, now we got that installed, and I've just gone with all 12 that it comes with. The other thing I did was I pulled the front face cover off of this one so that when it's ready I can, so I can install this in any orientation I want without having to worry about it covering up anything I don't want it to. Because personally, I'm hoping to get it in a weird way, a little unconventional, but I think will look far nicer. Yeah, all right, so first things first, I'm going to turn this case around, make it a lot easier for you guys to see this. And if you saw the peeler that I just had on the table, I just need the back end to pop that off. Screwdrivers were going to leave a mark, and that was a plastic piece that would do it. All right, I want this to be as visible as possible for everybody. Now, make sure we line this up. Yeah, that's the best I'm gonna get. So I actually want this to go like that. However, now that I've said it out loud, I don't think that's gonna work. Because there's no way to stop those fans from pushing against, from the cables pushing against that. I might have to get that orientation there. It's an old one, but it's a good one. Alright, so before we start, pull that one off. And of course it's going to stick to my fingers. Woohoo! And now it's on the floor. Haha, plan. And line them all up. Get out the trusty screwdriver. Visible from everyone. I'm going to be tightening it without over tightening. Pretty good on there, it's not too tight, but it's definitely nice and snug. And done. Now they're all on and that's solid. I'll grab my MSI cover, peel the little sticky majiggity off. And we'll place that one on the right way around. Click. Now cable management for this one is going to be a somewhat challenge here or there. Because it's such a beautiful case, we've got to try and get everything looking perfect. However, if anyone's seen my videos prior, I do cable manage to a degree, but it's not my specialty. But that's okay. I'm going to have to take the time with this sort of case, but that's fine. And I'm looking forward to it. All right. So the next step here would be, I believe, would be start plugging in some of these cables. So I'm going to go and do that. I'm going to need to run a 24 pin to here. I have to run two 8 pins up into here. And I'll have to get the GPU cables coming out the back here for, obviously, the GPU. So I'm going to do that now. All right, so let's see what we're up to. I've just got to sit in a little bit of an angle, make it best I can show you at this point. So we got two 8-pin CPU powers. We got the AIO pump header. We got the ARGB header for the pump itself. I've now installed down the bottom here, which I'll lift this up to show you. But first of all, I got USB-C, USB 7G or 10G or whatever the new name for them is, 7A or whatever, 24 pin, and ARGB hub for fans, which are these for the 3 fans here, because they're separate to the pump ARGBs. What else do we get in? All right, so I'll lift this up. Down the bottom here, this is the front panel. It's all just one piece, you just slot it straight in. ARGB here. Oh wait, no, there was no ARGB up the top here. It's 2 fan headers, one for the pump and one for the fans. My apologies. ARGB here, and that one there was for the fans. And then the one up the top here was for the pump. Then over here we got a HD audio. Now these 2 cables here, these will be our 2 8-pin PCI Express power cables for the graphics card, which is still yet to be installed. Now there is a chance I'm going to actually move them and install them there, the cables coming out that way, just because I think the power thing's about here, and if I can go around the side there, I'll be able to keep it right out of the way. If I have it come out there instead of down the bottom here, I could then have them come up to the side and install into the card here without taking up too much space. So that would be the plan. And as you can see from everything here, for anyone who at home thinks cable management's shocking, that's how it's done. All right, so it is possible, I can do it, just takes a bit of time, and that's why I did that off camera so I wasn't wasting anyone's time. All right, so the next step from here would be to get the case fans in. Now, if anyone remembers, I have the two F360 RGB cores. Now I'm actually going to install both of these, one at the back there and one on the bottom. And that's why we installed the 120mm bracket at the bottom. Yeah, that's a pretty good angle for you to see at home. I've been trying to move it around. That's why there's a lot of sort of stop starts while I get new parts ready and whatnot. While I'm doing a bunch of things off camera. Just while I'm trying to get the best angle, and on things that I can't get good angles on, I'm just doing a little bit off camera. So, this is an easy peasy one. All right. Today, and where's the logos there? That'll install there like that. Out there. And the second one, I'll grab the second one out of its box as well. Now they do come with, just want to point out now, they actually come with these weird connections on them that you actually have to plug into a secondary cable, and then that gives you your fan header and your ARGB to control them. But I'm not entirely sure if I can daisy chain them. Obviously the goal will be to try to just make things a little easier. And then this one here will install on the bottom, right there. All right, so I'm gonna go do that now, install them, and we'll be back with them in. You know what? I was going to do it off camera quickly and then show you how it's done, but I'm actually going to do this bit on camera. So I had to remove the dust filter from the bottom there. Now I'm just going to line the screws up. There's one. They're big fat screws. You can see that in my camera. Yeah, they're very fat screws. You got to sort of force it through. Sorry about the coughing in the background, everyone. My son's a bit crook at the moment, so he's not sleeping properly. But that's okay. There we go, that's two in. Let's get two more. And my screw goes in down the bottom here. Excuse me. All right. Now I've got one in. I'll lift that one up. Make sure that doesn't fall. Now we can slide our dust filter back into the bottom, which I'll do that pronto. Done. Now this cabling, interesting. I've installed that fan so that the logo is up the front here, pretty to see. But now they come out the front. So I'm just gonna remove them, turn that around and put it back in. So give me 1 second for that, guys. All right, now I've got it the right way around. Got the cable here. I got the cable that it comes with. You just basically connect. Then you need, wait for it, a fan header and an ARGB. Actually, by the looks of this, I'm going to need 2 fan headers. Is that the case? Because if that is the case, then I am going to actually have to use our fan hub. That's very interesting. That's okay. I will. Oh wait, there'd be no room to plug that into a fan header and into an RGB port. So I don't know what they're expecting, but when that comes time, that's cable management stuff. The next step will be getting this one installed. Now I want the cable on this one to actually be at the top, but you can't if you want the logo facing the right way, which means I'm going to go that way and have the cable go in behind it. Now there should be space down the bottom there. So I'll just show you what I mean. Now, that little hole down the bottom there, I'll install it and I'll run it through there to get into the back. And that way that cable is cable managed as well. Now to install this, I actually need to go to the back of the case. Oh. Now that we're at the back of the case, and hopefully you can see what I'm doing, at least to the best of my ability. It's a bit difficult at times. Let me see what I can do. Maybe, yeah, see, that's probably the best I'm going to do. So this logo sits that way. I'm going to need to undo this cable tie if I want to run the cable through that hole, because it's not going to fit while it's all tied up. I'm going to have to stretch it out and then fit it. Which obviously it's just a basic ribbon cable, so it's very thin. It's not going to get in the way of everything. So watch this, I'll show you what I mean. Plug that through there. And I can grab it from under here. And there's the cable. All right, so. Now give me 1 sec, guys. I just got to do one thing very quickly. All right, there we go. I've grabbed the best angle I can to show you what I'm doing here. All right, so it's these 4 screws. And I'm going to use the little electric screwdriver for this one. Now, we want it all lined up, all pretty like. And I wanted it a little lower. There's one in. Two. Three. And 4. So now that we got that all installed, I'm going to grab out my little cable. I'll remove its cable ties. Hey, sorry about that yelling out. That was my son telling us to be quiet. So I just won't use the drill from now on. So the next piece, I've already grabbed it out, was our F120 RGB Duo fan from from NZXT. Now this one's going on the back there, and I'm going to have it so that the cables are up the top there, because I'm going to need to run them out the back, because when it's time to cable manage, I'll show you that when it's time actually. There's something I'm going to have to install. Now this, obviously I screw it on from the back. Let's get that installed. Try and do it left-handed so that I can have it open to the camera as much as possible. There. There's one. Two. Three. Obviously this is a bit of a slow part. Actually, while I'm doing this, I can explain to you. So we are using more fan header necessaries than what the motherboard actually has. And it's not even the fan headers that I found to be the issue, it's the RGB headers. I actually need 2 more than what's on the motherboard. And so in that case, I'm gonna actually have to use a ARGB PWM fan hub. Now I've got the Cooler Masters Master Fan, that's what it's called. And it's a 6:1 PWM to ARGB. So that's it there. Now it is black, but it's gonna be on the back. It's not gonna be noticeable. And the cables will be plugged in down the bottom here, behind the graphics card, so it shouldn't be visible. Well, that's the hopes at least. All right, so the next step would be to start getting all those in. Next step is starting to get fan cables plugged in. And so it's pretty simple. Fan hub will get plugged in here, and it will use this ARGB hub right here. And obviously this one, as we've used it in the past, in case you haven't seen before, it's just magnetic. Oop. So it'll stick anywhere we need it, out of the way, in good spot. So I'm going to cable manage a little bit more and plug these into that in the back, which isn't a hard task, but it's a bit of a tedious one. So I'm actually going to just do that quickly, maybe even off camera. I'm not entirely sure at this point. All right, so first things first, I'll do this bit on camera to show you all. This needs to feed through here at the back, not that one, this one. And I will get my hands on the back here to grab it. Oh, I got one of them. There we go. And that'll sit like that, nice and neat and as much out of the way as physically possible. And these ones, these will actually go in the top piece there, behind the CPU 8-pin cables, because that will be the best way to do it. That way I can get them out of the way as neat as possible. Then they can re-enter this side if need be, or they can stay on the back and plug into our fan hub. Now I'm gonna have to wiggle this around, probably in off camera, like moving it around. So I'm just gonna do that real quickly and we'll come back to it completed. Ready? 3, 2, 1.